Well, if you did not figure out what my name is Pastor Tommy. I'm the kids pastor. And I am all about having fun, but we get to talk about God in a fun way because kids' attention spans are not the greatest. I mean, mine isn't either. Mine's probably a solid 15 seconds. And I gained that extra 5 seconds over the last 2 years. I'm 27, so that's not the greatest thing ever. But, so, from my slide, we're talking about living bright. I think we've done a great job of doing that so far this past week. And everything that we've done, Love Week and everything like that. So, it's actually really interesting. I was doing some research on flashlights because when I was thinking about live bright, I was like, okay, if we're living bright, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And I was like, oh, you know the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, I just didn't look hard enough. Sorry. That's another thing I don't do great at. I do not look at things thoroughly. I'll look at something and my wife will come up behind me and she'll be like, Tommy, it's right there. And I'm like, oh, sorry. But when I was thinking about living bright, my first thought was a flashlight. There, I'll shine it down here. A flashlight, right? Because flashlights are super bright and they're bright in darkness and they do a lot of cool stuff. But did you know that the first flashlight that was ever created was made with a tube from a paper towel roll, some D-cell batteries, and a light bulb, and they used some copper to connect everything together. And they were like, guys, we have this amazing invention. We're going to call it a flashlight. And that's because it would only last a few seconds before it blew up because it was in a paper towel roll. I was like, this is crazy. Flashlights are super cool. But there's a lot of different things you can use to show light. You can use a flashlight. You can use a phone light. I think we all have phones. If you don't, I'm sorry. But you can use flashlights on your phone. You can do a lot of cool stuff. LED headlights. If you have those, I don't like when you're driving towards me. I cannot see anything because your headlights are too bright. Street lights give us lights. You guys really don't have those around here on back roads. I'm from Michigan. We have street lights everywhere. Here it's just dark until you get to 60, and then there's some street lights in 60. But there's so many different things that can give us light. It's pretty cool. I was like, I didn't really think about all of the things that give light. We have lights. We have all the fun lights. We have house lights. TVs give off lights. Projection screens give off lights. Everything gives off light, which is super cool. And we're going to think about that. We're going to carry that throughout the message. But before we get into that, there's a thing I like to do in kids' church because I need to catch you guys up to where all the kids are at. You guys are a little behind. Sorry. Kids, you're just going to have to bear with me for the next few seconds while I catch the adults up. Just hang for a sec. So we are going to do something called the story before the story. This is going to catch the adults up on what we've been talking about. So today we are starting in the book of Matthew. If you didn't know, Matthew is the first book of the New Testament. It's a part of something called the Gospels. The Gospels are a group of books that talk about Jesus' life. It's pretty cool. So it was written by, like I said, it was written by Matthew. This is Matthew. Everybody say hi, Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector, not a super great guy, but Jesus decided that he wanted him to be one of his disciples. So he actually went and ate with Matthew, and all the people were like, blah, 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 why are you eating with the tax collectors there? And he's like, because he's going to be one of my disciples. And he wrote a book of the Bible, which is pretty cool. But when that happened, it flipped Matthew's life upside down. Absolutely crazy. Left everything, was in shock. How many have ever had your life flipped upside down? Okay, some of us want to be honest. It's okay. We'll get you honest by the end of this. So, moving forward, catching you guys up, Jesus would travel from city to city. He started doing this when he was about 30 years old. So he would travel from town to town, and he would teach large groups of people. With these large groups of people, they would follow him everywhere. Think of the coolest celebrity you can think of in your mind, and that was Jesus, and everybody followed Jesus everywhere he went. But Jesus was doing a lot of cool stuff. They weren't just singing songs and doing stuff like that. Jesus was taking sick people and was healing them, which was super cool. If you ever saw someone get healed in real life, it's awesome. I've never seen it happen. I've heard it happen. I'm never there when it actually happens, but it's cool. When the cancer just disappears, or in the Bible it talks about leprosy just washing with mud and it just falls off. It's super cool. Like, he healed all kinds of people, which was great. And then he would travel to the next town and more people would show up, which was just insane. But Jesus, when he had these opportunities to speak to people, like I have this opportunity today to speak to you guys, he didn't just talk. He spoke to all of their hearts and their minds. So he spoke directly to the things that connect us from us to God. And with that, he taught them how to show love, which is something we've been doing this entire week. We've been showing love in different aspects. And I'll give little hints. We've shown love by giving people things. We've shown love by giving our time. Those are going to come later. But now, we can get to the story. Oh, that's my little anthem song. Missed it in the beginning. It's at that part. So, we're talking about living bright. We've caught all the adults up to what we're talking about now. So we're in Matthew. We know about Matthew. We know that Matthew was a bad guy. Now he's a good guy. Jesus traveled. He was about 30 years old. Healed people. Did a lot of cool stuff. And we're going to tear all this down. But I want to start, if you have your Bible, raise it in the air if you have it. If it's on a phone, that's cool. If you have your Bible, awesome. I see my kids have their Bibles. Perfect. We're going to open this to Matthew. It's the first chapter of the New Testament. It is, I have to say this because this is how I do it in kids' church. It's the big 5, little 14. We're looking for Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. And in this, we're going to break down what Jesus was talking about. So, in this, we're starting with Jesus sitting on the side of a mountain. And when he's sitting on the side of this mountain, it becomes a very famous thing called the Sermon on the Mount. A lot of people know about it. If you don't, it's called the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus telling people about a lot of cool stuff. So in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 through 16, we're going to break it down. And verse 14 says, "You are the light of the world." Okay? So you're the light of the world. Pretty basic. But I want a couple people to help me with this. Let's go with Riley. Come on up. And then, do I have a teenager or an adult? Chris, come on up. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. That's the power button. Don't push it yet. That's the power button. Don't push it yet. Slide over here. Thank you so much. You guys look fantastic. So, we're talking about you are the light of the world. What this means is when we follow and trust in Jesus, and when we live the way that Jesus taught us to live, we can shine Jesus' light. So, I want you guys to turn on your flashlights. Boom, we're shining Jesus' light. Don't shine it in anybody's face, but you stand there and shine your light. So if we go forward, we're going to extend this verse a little more. And it says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill can't be hidden." So if we really think about cities now, at nighttime is when we see the most light, besides the sun. The sun is really bright. But this is something you would be used to seeing if you were looking at like a city. There's a lot of lights. But back in the day, it didn't look like that. They didn't have all of those cool lights. They really only had like lanterns and things like that. So it looked more like this. This is what it meant by "you are the light on a hill." Because when you were traveling a long distance, you'd be walking for a long time, and there would be nothing. You wouldn't see anything. And as it starts to get dark, you would have to look for something. So the way that towns were built, they would build a super high part on a hill so that when their lights were on, you could see them from a distance. So there was no interruptions, because if you're looking at something flat, eventually you'd be able to see it when you got close enough. But they wanted people to see it for a distance, so they knew, I'm almost there. I've been walking for 10 hours. I'm almost there. I mean, you don't know if it's another 3 hours to get there, but you at least have something to look at and gauge to. So, you're the light of the world. A town built on a hill can't be hidden. So, Jesus is saying, we're the light of the world. And we are like a town that's been built on a hill. We can't be hidden. But there's another part to this, and it says, also, people do not light a lamp and put it under a bowl. So, we're the light of the world. We're up on a hillside because we're Christians. But we also don't want to cover our light. So I have something I want to use real quick. I hid it over here. Boom, 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 boom. This is my trusty blanket. So, if you do what Jesus doesn't tell you to do, slide, just I don't know how big my actual blanket is, so you guys stand somewhat close together. Slide together. All right. Here we go. Oh, I only covered one light. There we go. Oh, sorry. So now you can still be a light on a hill, but if you cover your light, you can't be seen. So Jesus is saying, you're the light of the world. A town built on a hill can't be hidden. Also, people do not light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and when it gives light to everyone in the house. So we don't want to cover our light. Jesus is saying we are the light, but we don't want to cover it. And there's a lot of things that there you go. There are a lot of things that cause us to cover our light. Like something bad happens. Or we get to a spot where life gets a little hard and it's easy to revert back to the way that we used to do things when we didn't have the light, because the light makes things hard. Because if you're in a room of darkness and you shine a light, everything can see you. So when everything can see you, the good and the bad come towards the light. Same thing if you're out in the wilderness and you light a light. There are times you want that light to go out because there's bears or there's other things that are coming towards that light. So it's important that we not cover our light and not let the things that life kind of throws at us control how we shine our light. Life is going to be hard, but Jesus has given us a light on a hill so we can shine to everyone, not just be hidden. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more to this verse. So this is the full verse. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill can't be hidden. Also, people do not light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, then it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine so others can see it. Then they will see the good things you do, and they will bring glory to the Father who is in heaven. So what this whole verse breaks down, and when Jesus is talking to all of these people on the side of the mountain, he's saying, life is going to be a little difficult, but I've given you a light to shine, and you shine above other people because you're a Christian, because you follow me. Me as in Jesus. So we're supposed to shine our light because when we shine our light, other people will see it. And that's the point of shining your light, is for other people to see it. So you may be looking at it and you're like, well, how do I do that? Like, okay, so I have a metaphorical flashlight that Jesus has given me, and I'm supposed to do something with it. Well, I have some things that you can do with it. So a great way you can do this is your mom makes dinner or your wife makes dinner. Help them clean up. A kind gesture can shine light. And they'll be like, oh man, that was nice. That made me feel pretty good. Or maybe someone's sitting at lunch by themselves. And we're like, oh, there's a weird kid. I don't know how I feel about that. But we can get up and move and sit with them. And when we do that, that can shine a light. It shows that we're different than everybody else. We're not judging those people. Or sometimes it's just smiling at someone. The simple fact of you just looking at someone and smiling can make someone feel great. Just like I made this front row laugh. Nobody else did, but they did. They all laughed. But yeah, just a smile can make you feel good. And if you stare at yourself in the mirror, I've been doing this new thing that I saw on social media. Could be great, could be not 100% sure. Every morning, I'm right-handed. I brush my teeth with my left hand, and I stare at myself in the mirror after I brush my teeth, and I tell myself, I love you 10 times. I promise you, it sounds really weird. I start my day off with the biggest smile ever because I told myself I love myself. It's great. But it's something I've done to try to just make myself better and to have a better attitude, because if I can have a better attitude, other people are going to be like, man, he's in a really great mood on this rainy day that's just been really terrible. I'm just like, hey, told myself I love myself 10 times, but hey, I also do breathing exercises, but that's weird. 25 times. Gets weird. I do that when everybody's out of my house because everybody would think I was crazy. but, I'm sorry, there's a rabbit trail there. But you can let your light shine so others can see it. That's the important part of this whole thing. If you do something just as small as smiling at someone, you can shine a light so other people can see that you're a little bit different, which is pretty okay. So, I did it twice. You can shine a light. You can shine God's light. That's what that whole thing was about. I'm sorry, I messed that up. All right, moving forward. Okay, so we're shining God's light. You guys doing great? You guys good? Flashlight's working? Perfect. If they're shining God's light, they're going to do that for a little bit longer. So I want to talk about a story. And in this story, a miracle happens. Miracle happens. And it's unexplainable, but it's really cool. I'm going to skip past this. Cool. We're going to John chapter 6, verse 5. And you guys can flip there if you're using your Bibles. Big 6, little 5. And in this story, the disciples and Jesus are walking. And they get to a point, they sit down, and they notice that a crowd of people are coming around them. And all of these people are hungry. It's lunchtime. I love lunchtime. It was my favorite subject in school. It's my favorite part of work. I love lunch. When we do lunch meetings, it is the best. I get to sit there, eat food. It's great. I love lunch. It's my favorite meal of the day. So all these people are hungry, and the disciples are like, what are we going to do? And Jesus already knew what he was going to do. Jesus had it all planned out, but I feel like he just did certain things to kind of just get his disciples to think a little bit. And in this verse 5, it says, where can we buy bread for these people to eat? And Philip wasn't sure. Philip was the one saying that. And he wasn't sure. And Jesus says, Philip told Jesus, so that's what Jesus said. Sorry, I mixed that up. Jesus said, where can we buy food for all these people? They have no money. The disciples didn't have money. They didn't have anything. They didn't take anything with them, and they were traveling, so they traveled super light. So Jesus is asking this question, knowing they don't have anything to do. So Philip says, suppose we were able to buy enough bread for each person to have just a bite, so one bite. That would take more than half a year's pay. And Philip was right. Buying enough food for 5,000 people would be super expensive. And the question was, where were you even going to find enough food for 5,000 people? I don't feel like you could go to a restaurant and find enough food for 5,000 people. But Jesus knew what was happening. And Andrew comes up, and I feel like Andrew was kind of the middle child of the group that kind of brings a solution that doesn't really solve the problem. Because Andrew shows up and he goes, here's a boy with 5 small loaves of bread. And he also has 2 small fish. Yeah, that's great. That's going to solve our problem of feeding 5,000 people with your 5 little Texas Roadhouse rolls and some fish sticks. Like, what does that do? Like, reading this, I laughed so hard because I was just like, yep, that's me. That would be like, guys, this isn't a great solution, but hey, it's a solution. And Jesus took this, and if you don't know the story, Jesus took this and broke the bread and started handing it out. And as he handed it out, it just continued and continued and continued and continued until they fed everyone. 5,000 people were fed. And with 5,000 people being fed, Jesus looks at them and says, hey, clean up all the extra food and put it in baskets. So they fed 5,000 people and filled 12 baskets full of food. And they didn't take it with them. They gave it to other people. But the miracle of something so small. So this is the cool thing in this story. And this is what I want to kind of hit you with, is you can use what you have to help other people. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. We made a special list for Love Week for the kids, and it was hold a door open for someone, invite someone to church, do these small things that can help. And it's because what you give doesn't have to be these huge, extraordinary things. They can be small. Now, you can give big things. If you want to give me a car, I'll be here after church. Hey, I'll take it. But God can use the small things to do pretty crazy things. And I have a couple small things. I need a couple volunteers. Okay. Here we go. Cassidy, here's that. Isaac, here's this. Silas. Here, I want you guys to go stand at the end of that row, right by that balloon pillar back there. Yep, you guys just go stand right back there, at the end of the row. So, they have some small things. So we have a light source. God has called us to shine our light. And they have some different size things that they're willing to share. So we have that, we have this, okay, cool. And a way you can share things that may be a little small or maybe a little big. Say a friend forgot their lunch at school. You can split your sandwich in half, split your lunch in half, and let your friend eat. Let him eat something small. Or maybe you have a unique skill that you can help where you're really good at math. Pastor Cameron is a human calculator. He is amazing at math. If I need a math question, I ask Pastor Cameron because he's good at it. But he uses that small skill to help me in different ways. God can do the same thing. So if we're willing to share something, even if it's small as 5 loaves and 2 fish, God can take that and make it something amazing where he can feed 5,000 people and fill 12 baskets afterwards. Okay? So, we're shining a light. We can give things whether they're big or small. Now I'm going to fast forward through this. And then I have another story I want to talk about. And it's in Mark chapter 10, verse 46. So big 10, little 46. And this is a story where Jesus is still traveling. So we're still on the story of Jesus traveling. And in this story, Jesus is traveling through Jericho. Yes, the same thing where there was Jericho's wall. They marched around it, fell down, same city. But in this aspect, Jesus is walking through a crowd of people, and it is so loud because everybody wants something from Jesus. Heal me, do this, do that. And Jesus is trying to get from point A to point B because he has a mission that he's trying to do. But there was a blind man named Bartimaeus. And Bartimaeus was blind. He was begging on the side of the road. And back in the day, there weren't things that we have now to help blind people. There weren't sticks that you could use to tap the ground to know where you're going. If there wasn't compassion or someone to help, you just had to figure it out. You had to wander around until you stumbled into something. So Bartimaeus hears that Jesus is walking past him, just walking past him. And Bartimaeus yells, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." So a beggar is yelling for Jesus, "Have mercy, please have mercy." And the people around him told him to stop because he was being too loud. And they were trying to focus on Jesus. But he wanted something so bad. He wanted the healing so bad. He kept yelling. And he says, "Son of David, have mercy on me again." And this is the part that I want to highlight for this section. Because we're shining our light. We have people that are willing to give things. But this is where Jesus shows that even if you don't have something to give, you can give your time. Because Jesus stops everything. And Jesus calls for him. And everybody around him, their minds change. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Jesus is calling for you, go." The same people that were telling them to stop and wouldn't give him the time of day now cared. But Jesus is the main point of this story because Jesus looks at him and says, what do you want me to do for you? And Bartimaeus says, "Rabbi, I want to be able to see." And Jesus says, "Go. Your faith has healed you right away." And he could see. And then Bartimaeus followed Jesus for the rest of the time that he was walking in that city of Jericho. Jesus was willing to give his time because that was the part that was more important. The healing was great. The healing was awesome. He got the healing, he got the gift. But the main thing is the time. Nobody gave Bartimaeus time. They were just like, he's a beggar, it's fine. But when you're willing to give your time, that's when you can also see miracles happen. Sometimes it's not about handing out money, and it's not about trying to do these crazy elaborate things like paying for someone's food in the drive-thru or giving a large tip. Those are great, and there are times for that, but there's also times where we need to just be here and be present with people and show them that we love them and we care with our time. Time is the most precious currency in the world because once you use it, you don't get it back. And if you're willing to take your time and share it and spend it on someone else other than yourself, you can see God do miracles upon miracles upon miracles. But you have to be willing to share your time. So I need a couple adults to help me with this. Miss Shawnee, can you help me? And Sam, help me. One of you guys go with them, and then one of you guys stand over there. Yep, them right there. So this is a very important illustration I want to show you guys. Because when we are willing to shine our light, right, come over here. When we're willing to shine our light and we hone it down and we shine it at the people that are willing to give. So Jesus has filled us and have made us a light on the side of a mountain so we can be seen. And we're shining our light. Shine at Miss Shawnee. Here. And we're willing to shine our light. Slide over, shine that right at her. Now, they're seeing the light of Jesus. And this is the important thing. If we can shine, and we show them that we can shine and we care, they can now shine their light by giving things, whether it's big or small. We got some big things, we got some small things. If we shine our light there, then they can shine their light over here. Nope, keep yours there. You're shining there. And they're shining their light there. And now, this person that doesn't have anything that they can give like money, they don't have money, but they have time. They can shine their time and shine that right at me. Trevor, can we kill these lights? Shine it right at me. Where am I at? Here we go. This is where I'm at. Ooh, right at me. Right at me. Cool. So, if we have the Christians that are willing to give and shine, they will reach people that can give talents and treasures to other people. If we can give talents and treasures to other people and we shine a light here, the people that can only give time can shine their light. And if they shine their light back at the church, now we can start shining our light on other people. And I can hit multiple people with this thing. But here's the cool thing. If I had them shine this bright light at you, and these were at max power, you can't see a thing. Because it's not about the person that's shining the light. It's about the light that's being shined. It doesn't matter if you have things you can give or you don't have things that you can give. What matters is you're willing to do what Jesus has told us to do. Here's the thing. We have had a week of loving people and caring for people and putting time into people and doing all of these things because we're willing to do that. The problem is the world is dark and we were trying to shine our light. And when we're trying to shine our light in the dark world, We're trying to light it up. But the problem is, I feel like we're getting to the point, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody. I don't mean it to offend anybody. But I feel like we're getting to the point where the church is just as dark as the world because we're not willing to do anything. I feel like that's the truth. We're not willing to shine our light to people because we're afraid of what people are going to think about us at school. We're afraid of what people are going to think about us in the workplace. I'm guilty of it. I have moments where I shine my light, and then I have moments where I don't want people to talk to me, and I put my headphones in, and I'll walk through the grocery store. Do you want to know something? I got checked a couple days ago. Leave those down. Leave those down. Leave those down. I got checked a couple days ago because I was walking through the grocery store, and I didn't want to talk to anybody, and there were some people that were like, Pastor Tommy. And I was like, hey, and I play it off and all kinds of stuff like that. That's bad on me. I should not walk into a dark world and have the mindset, I don't want to show my light because I don't want to be inconvenienced because I got things I got to do. But instead, if I choose to shine my light everywhere I walk, the church won't be as dark as the world. We have to choose to be the light. We have to choose to give the things that we have, and we have to choose to give our time. If we don't do that, why are we a church? What are we doing? We have to shine our light, people. I know it's not fun to be inconvenienced. I know sometimes we don't want to deal with people. I know, and I probably shouldn't say this from the platform, I know life sucks sometimes. But at the end of the day, this is what God has called us to do as a church. And we have to be different. Sports are not more important than this. Work is not more important than this. You want to know something? I quit a job making money on money because this is what I'm called to do, and God has provided every single step that I have walked. Your work is not more important than this. Your life is not more important than this. We have to be the light of the world. God has called us to be the light of the world. We have to shine a light and be different than the people around us. And we have to start by doing that as a church. When we can change what we do here, we can change what we do out there. But until this changes, we're doing nothing out there. We saw broken people walk into our building yesterday. And the people that were here shined their light, and those people left different. It may not happen right away. But just because you shine your light, they then go home and shine their light. And then when they're walking through the grocery store, they shine their light. And it starts to spread because the light brings joy. It brings the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. When we're able to shine those things, the world will change. So I don't have a what now. My what now is be the light. Be different. Leave here differently than you walked in. Walk out there and shine a light when you go to the restaurant. Shine a light when you go to school. You're not too cool, I promise. I was the cool kid. My life sucked. It's true. You want to know what's cool? Living for Jesus, because eternity is forever. If you're willing to live now, you'll live when you're 18 for Jesus. You'll live when you're adult for Jesus. Your home will have a light in it. And when your kids leave your home, you will shine a light. Everywhere you go, you'll shine a light, but it has to start here. We have to be different. So I'm going to pray. And I'm going to pray that all of us choose to shine our light. And I'm going to pray that all of us leave here differently. Because all of us can reach people that the other ones of us can't reach. I can't reach the people you reach. But you can. I can't change the lives that you can change. But you can. And I believe all of you guys have the ability to do this. It's not about you. It's about him. He's the light. And when we share that light, Jesus will flood the world. You want to talk about a revolution of love? That would be the most ultimate revolution of love. Just people shining Jesus' light. Ain't no negativity there. Stuff is still going to happen. When you shine Jesus' light, the bad things still come. But you got a whole church here that's willing to fight for you. I'm willing to fight for you. So I'm going to pray. So if everybody will close your eyes and bow your heads. And I tell my kids in kids' church, this is not anything except a moment for you and God to be with each other. That's why we close our eyes. It's about you and him, not about everybody around you. So God, I thank you for everybody that's here. I thank you for bringing us all here. I thank you for the opportunities you have given every person in this room. I thank you for the baptisms. I thank you for the worship. I thank you for all of these kids that got up here. And it's scary, but they got up here and they worshiped you in front of everyone. I thank you for all of that. But God, I admit that we've been in some rough places. And I admit that we've not made the best choices. But God, I just pray that you help us and heal us in those aspects. I pray that you come in and you show us the light that you provide for us. I pray that you help us to shine that light onto other people with kindness and love and with time, talents, and treasure. I pray that you just anoint other people with that light. And God, I just pray for where we're all going to go. I pray for the rough patches that we're going to hit because it's life. And I pray that you help us to keep our light on even through those rough patches and not to cover it up, but to keep shining that light through those hard times, through that darkness. I pray all of that in your name, Jesus. Amen.